What is up, everyone? Please take a second to hit that like button. The more likes that we get in a short period of time, the more people the algorithm will bring into the chat to come hang out with us and see what's going on. So please hit that like button. Let me know how you're doing, and happy freedom.
Good afternoon, everybody. Apologies for the late start. It's been a busy day, so I apologize. The in-town pool is going to have to gather about 2:05, and so I will stay beyond that time as long as we can. But again, apologies for starting late. Okay, as you all know, the president has long talked about our nation being at an inflection point. He has been clear, democracy is under assault, and we cannot pretend otherwise. The president will continue to call attention to the threat to democratic integrity and to public safety posed by those who deny the documented truth about election result and those who seek to undermine public faith in our system of government. Unfortunately, we have seen MAGA Republican officials who don't believe in the rule of law. They refuse to accept the results of free and fair elections, and they fan the flames of political violence through what they praise and what they refuse to condemn. It remains important for the president to state strongly and unequivocally that violence has no place in our democracy. He believes other leaders of both parties, on both sides, have a responsibility to communicate this very clearly as well. The president has been emphatic and optimistic that Americans care about protecting our democracy. He has consistently talked about the fact that America has emerged stronger from some of our darkest moments. And today, there are far more Americans of every background and every belief.
She looks and sounds a lot like Obama right now.
Political violence than accept it. The president will continue to speak about the challenges facing our democracy and his enduring belief that America will persevere. He'll also keep acting to address political violence, including by continued implementation of the first ever national strategy for countering domestic terrorism that he released in June of 2021. Now, President Biden has made it his top economic priority to lower costs for American families, and he has been delivering. He's beaten Big Pharma, and Medicare is negotiating lower prescription drug prices as well. Gas prices have come down by $1.25 per gallon since June, and Medicare premiums are down as well. Yesterday was our first day of open enrollment season, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, which congressional Republicans want to repeal. That's the first thing that they want to do. 4 out of 5 consumers can find a plan that costs $10 or less a month. Additionally, 13 million Americans will continue to save an average of $800 a year on coverage. And today we're announcing additional actions to lower food and heating costs for American families. The Vice President will be in Boston this evening to announce that we're making billions of dollars available this winter to help bring down home heating bills for low-income families all across the country. We're also making nearly $9 billion through the Inflation Reduction Act available to states and tribes to help families make their homes more energy efficient. And the Department of Agriculture is helping bring down food prices at the grocery store through new measures to expand meat and poultry processing capacity. Altogether, these actions and others will provide families a little extra breathing.
That sounded really suspicious.
And they are in stark contrast.
Increase meat processing capacity. What do you mean by that, Corinne?
To drive up costs. Congressional Republicans want to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, which gives us the ability to lower drug prices, and that utility CEOs have said will bring monthly energy bills down. They oppose the release of oil from reserves, which multiple industry analysts have said is helping bring prices down at the pump. They're going to bat for big oil, even as they pad the pockets of shareholders and keep gas prices up for American families. They want to raise the age of Social Security benefits and put the program that so many people work so hard for, alongside Medicare, on the chopping block. And they want to restore disastrous tax cuts for the rich. The bottom line is the president is committed to helping families right now, while Republicans officials are committed to raising costs and chilling for big pharma and big oil. Lastly,
Big farmer.
this afternoon, in a few minutes, the president will take part in the culminating event for the Talent Pipeline Challenge, which brings together more than 300 partners to expand workforce development for jobs created by bipartisan infrastructure law, along with the CHIPS and Science Act, Inflation Reduction Act, and the American Rescue Plan. The event comes amid a resurgence of American infrastructure projects and manufacturing driven by the president's economic agenda. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, CHIPS and Science Act, and Inflation Reduction Act will create millions of good-paying jobs, and the challenge is helping create pathways for all Americans to fill those jobs. At today's event, the White House will host CEOs, union presidents, community college presidents, philanthropic leaders, and others who have made commitments to this very challenge. With that, Sungmin, you want to kick us off?
Two quick topics. On this speech tonight, can you discuss why this speech is considered a political event that's being organized by the DNC versus the similar speech in Philadelphia, which was an official White House event?
Yeah, that's a good question. Look, we're less than a week away, a week out, as you all know, from the midterms election. I do want to be careful about talking about elections here from this podium. We do believe in the rule of law in this administration. And so, but we are seeing, as I just mentioned in my topper, an alarming number of Republican officials suggest they will not accept the results of this election. So we've also seen recent political violence that is similarly alarming, disturbing, and that rhetoric continues. The president believes that it is a moment of reckoning. This is not a regular moment in our democracy. This is not a regular moment in time. And this is, as the president has said many times, we are in an inflection point, and he's going to call it all out. Like he did in very direct terms, and he talked about it just last night in front of 3,000 people in southern Florida. So you'll hear from him. I'm not going to get ahead of the president, but this is why we see this as an important moment tonight.
And on Elon Musk and Twitter, I'm wondering what impact the White House believes that his takeover of Twitter is having on political discourse at this point, and also whether the White House would actually pay $8 a month to make sure its accounts were verified.
So on your first question, so look, I don't believe it's an issue that made it to the president's desk yet. It's not a conversation that the president is aware of. As you know, we're focused on many things, including this evening. But clearly, we will let you know if anything changes, and certainly give you all an update.
What about on the second question?
What was the wait? Can you say the second question again? Was it about?
Actually, pay $8 a month to make sure you're.
Well, I know. I just answered that particular thing. You know, that's something for the president that we need to talk to the president about. Certainly has not come across his desk, and so as soon as anything changes on that, we certainly will share that information. All right, go ahead.
You mentioned we're less than a week out. I guess a logistical question. What does the president plan to do on election night? Will he be here monitoring results? Is he going to be with staff?
That's a good question. We will share more when we have that. I don't have anything about his schedule, about him traveling, but certainly we will certainly share more on what his day will look like on November 8th, next Tuesday, less than a week away.
Prostitute.
You have said that the president will deliver remarks after the election, the day after. Should we expect some kind of formal remarks, or did you just mean that he will find some kind of way to weigh in?
Well, I'm saying that you'll certainly hear from the president. He will give remarks. I don't know yet what it will look like, but certainly you will hear from the president the day after the election.
Are those remarks with questions?
I know you guys always ask me this. Well, I don't want to get ahead of it, but you will certainly hear from.
Hey, thank you so much, Cornish, for continuing the membership program for 24 months. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you.
Traveling to California, Chicago, New York, Maryland. Aren't these pretty safe Democratic
Peter Deuce, you got the fancy socks.
destinations
You missed
in
New
this final
Mexico.
pivotal stretch?
You missed New
Yes, that's the
Mexico,
one exception.
right? New Mexico tomorrow. He's going to Philly on oh my gosh, these days, on Saturday. So he will be out there. If there's more travel to share, we certainly will share them. But look, the president, it's not just I know you're talking about the last couple of days, but the president has been out on the road nonstop. I know I am very tired. We got in pretty late last night, and I've done many of the trips with him, and he has been nonstop, and he'll continue to do that. We will certainly have more travel to share in the upcoming days, and you'll see where he'll be going.
But Maryland, for example, where he'll be campaigning with Wes Moore, I mean, polls show Moore beating his opponent 2-1 at this point. Why does he need the president's help?
So
right
I'm
now?
going to be really careful about getting into any kind of punditry from here, political politics from here. But look, the president believes this is an important time. The American public has a choice. There is a choice in front of them. And there are many places to have those conversations and lay that out for the American people. And that choice is very clear. Do you want a congressional Democrats and a president that's working every day to deliver for the American people? Or do you want congressional Republicans who are doing the complete opposite, who want to increase in energy costs, who want to increase your health care premiums? And we feel that there are many places where he can have that conversation. There are many places where it's going to be important for the American people to hear directly from the President of the United States. But let's not forget, he's going to New Mexico tomorrow. He's going to Pennsylvania. As you all know, he's been to Pennsylvania a few times. He was just in Florida in front of 3,000 people.
She's like aggressively jerking her head around.
Which was an important
Who talks like that?
conversation and an event to have. I want to be very careful here, not to get into politics or elections. So I'm going to leave it there without. Again, we believe in the rule of law, so we want to be careful. Go ahead.
Thanks, Karine. The White House removed a tweet that talked about the increase in Social Security benefits in 2023, quote, through President Biden's leadership. There was a contextual note, I'm not sure what the proper terminology is for the platform, that was added to that. Was it removed because of the addition of the note, or was it removed because of the concern about the veracity of the message?
So it was, look, the tweet was not complete. Usually when we put out a tweet, we posted with context, and it did not have that context. So in the past, we've pointed
Oh, damn, we should ban their Twitter account.
over a decade, seniors' Medicare premiums will decrease even as their Social Security checks increase. That's a little bit of context that was not included. This means that seniors
I'll grab some coffee real quick.
inflation due to the rare combination of rising benefits and falling premiums. And let's not forget, as you've been hearing me say for the past few minutes about MAGA Republicans in Congress and their continued threat to threaten Social Security and Medicare, proposing to put them on the chopping blocks every 5 years, threatening benefits and to change eligibility. So those are the types of context that would normally be with a tweet like that. It did not have that context. It was an incomplete tweet, as I just mentioned, and so that's why you saw the digital team take that action.
And I think part of the reason I asked is because the president mentioned a similar type of thing in both of his events yesterday, saying on my watch in one case, on our watch in the other case. Now, he included the Medicare piece of this that you're talking about in the back end. You believe that as long as the Medicare piece is included, that's not claiming credit for something that is quite literally tied to the cost of living.
We believe that if
inflation.
we want to lay our argument out fully. And that was important to do as we put out, information like that, or as we put out a tweet, and that was an incomplete tweet. So we do think it is important to do. Okay, thank you.
Karine, does the White House think that another rate hike from the Fed will be positive for the economy or negative?
So as you know, and you hear us say this many times, the Fed is independent. It's an independent agency, and we believe, the president believes, that it has the best monetary policies to address inflation, and they are also the chairman, Chair Powell, is committed to that very kind of charge that is ahead of them. I don't want to comment on it. I know the meeting may be happening right now as I'm standing in front of you, so don't want to get ahead of it. It's not something that we comment from here about, as you know.
On a separate issue, does the White House have a reaction to newly disclosed emails showing that former President Trump's attorneys saw Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas as their best hope for overturning President Biden's victory in 2020?
So I saw those reports right before I walked out to the podium, and my understanding is that those emails are being reviewed by the January 6th committee. As we know, the January 6th committee is doing incredibly important work to get to the bottom of what happened on January 6th, which, as you heard the president say, was one of our darkest days in our nation's history. It was, as we all know and we all saw and you all reported, an attack on our democracy. So we will defer to the committee on this investigation. I don't want to get ahead of that, but as far as I know or understand, they are reviewing the emails.
I'll get to you. To what degree could you characterize how much the Pelosi attack influenced the president's decision to give this address tonight? How much of a catalyst is that? And kind of as a related question, has the president made any personal outreach or considered making personal outreach to Republican leaders to ask them for a more forceful response to condemn that attack, other violence? I understand the power of the bully pulpit tonight, but has he done any direct contact to Republican leaders?
And I appreciate your question, and I understand your question. I'm going to start with the last one first. It should not be controversial to speak out against political violence. It should be something as political leaders should automatically do in a forceful way. And you all have reported on what happened to Paul Pelosi and how horrific it was and how devastating it was and how dangerous that action was. And the rhetoric that we're seeing, that rise of rhetoric that we are seeing, you have people out there who listen and who take that rhetoric very seriously. And so the president believes that it shouldn't have to, he shouldn't have to call them to say, hey, you need to condemn what happened a little more forcefully. That is something that it should just be something that's automatic, and they should just do that. Look, the president, again, is making this speech because we're seeing an alarming number of Republican officials who are saying, they're being very clear, they're not going to accept the results of these elections. That's a problem. And yes, when we see what happened to Paul Pelosi, and again, the president spoke. You all know, you've heard us say this. The president spoke to the speaker on Friday. He spoke very forcefully at his event Friday evening. He spoke to this again on Saturday, and just yesterday in Florida, he spoke in front of Florida Floridians about this attack. And so, look, he's going to continue to call this out. What we're seeing is a attack on our democracy, and the president has been very clear. We need to protect our democracy. We need to strengthen our democracy, and he feels it is important as the president of the United States to continue to speak to this. Go ahead, Stephen.
Given the stakes, let me ask you a big picture question. Does the president believe that if the country chooses divided government next week and gives Republicans control of the House, that the federal government can operate efficiently and effectively while he's still president?
So look, I don't want to get into hypotheticals. I know you want me to answer to a potential result that we might see next week, so I want to be very careful here. What I can say is that he believes, and I said this at the top and I'll repeat it here, that there are far more Americans of every background and belief who reject the dangerous path of political violence than accept it. We see this in polling. We see that majority of Americans want to protect our democracy, and do not agree with the political violence. Do not agree with the rise of rhetoric that we are seeing. And so I'll leave it there. That's what we're seeing from Americans, majority of Americans. I'm just not going to get into hypotheticals from here.
In his speech yesterday in Florida, the president suggested that shutdowns and default are likely outcomes if the Republicans take control of the House of Representatives and he doesn't agree with their demands on Social Security and Medicare. To what extent should Americans be braced for those outcomes?
I mean, the president is saying that because Republicans are saying that. Republicans in Congress have been very, very clear that if they do not put Medicare and Social Security on the chopping block, right? You have one.
Karine is the authority on who is and who is not being very, very clear.
Suggested we should put it on the chopping blocks every year. And they said if they don't get those demands, if they are not able to do that, then they're going to put our economy at risk. They're going to put it into a spiral downturn. That's what they said they're going to do. And again, this goes into what the president.
That's what they said they were going to do?
Choice for the American public. There is a stark choice for the American public. This is what the president has been talking about almost every day for the past several months. So again, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals, but we should take them by their word, right? We should. This is what they're saying that they're going to do.
Top of ass.
The news just broke. The Fed did raise rates by the 75 basis points. Just following up to see if you did want to share anything now that the news is out.
This happens to me all the time up here.
Damn, calling her out.
So I'll say a couple of things. Again, we see this presidency. Our view is that the Fed is a independent agency, and we respect their independence. The Fed actions help bring inflation down. And as mortgage rates increase, demand in the housing market should continue to cool, and inventory should increase, which should have the effect of lowering housing inflation. This is part of our transition to stable and more stable and steady growth, as you hear us speak about from our economic team, and also from myself and from the president. And again, stable and steady growth with lower inflation. This is the kind of economy that delivers for working families, and that's how we see the work of the Fed. I'm not going to go into any specifics, any more details from here.
And then one other thing on violence, political violence. Do you know if the president has had a chance to speak directly to Paul Pelosi yet?
I don't have any calls to read out on a direct conversation that he's had with Paul Pelosi. As you know, he's spoken to the Speaker on Friday, and he continues to keep them in their prayers. And he is glad to hear that Paul Pelosi will have a full recovery. And I'll just leave it as that for now. Go ahead, Tam.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to Kelly's first question. Was the attack on Paul Pelosi an impetus for this speech to happen? Was it an inspiration? Had the president already been working on it? What's the timeline on the speech?
Just a little, just to share, this is something that the president has talked about for some time, right? This isn't new for this president. He's talked about, we all know about the soul of a nation and how he decided, one of the reasons he decided to run in 2019 was because of what he was seeing, was because of what occurred in Charlottesville, which was devastating to see that in our streets in America. And he spoke very clearly. You saw the op-ed that he wrote when he saw that. And so it has always been something that's been top of mind for him. He spoke about it in his inaugural speech.
Top of ass.
And protecting our democracy. He spoke about it on January 6th, the anniversary of January 6th, just this past year. You heard him speak about this in front of Independence Hall, or at Independence Hall, outside of Independence Hall to be more specific, where our democracy started, if you will. And so this is a conversation that he continues to have. Clearly, we are seeing an uptick, a sad uptick of rhetoric, of political rhetoric coming from really extreme Republicans in office. And also, yes, we saw this violent, awful, horrific attack on Paul Pelosi. And so, there are reasons.
Thank you so much, Lone Wolf, for the $10 donation. I appreciate it. It says, JeffMAC, if you ever end up in a hospital after getting into a hammer fight in your underwear with the lady of the night, us hooligans are going to have some questions for you. I accept that. Thank you so much for the support.
I wonder what the question's going to be, Tam.
I don't know what I'm going to have to.
The president of the White House.
Okay.
Correspondent Association.
So I went back. Every president since Bill Clinton has immediately after the midterm election held a lengthy press conference to talk about the results, to answer questions from reporters about what it means for his presidency. Ronald Reagan did it too. And just today, you haven't yet committed to holding a press conference on the 9th. Does this mean that President Biden is going to break with this tradition?
Look, I'm not going to get far ahead of where we are currently. I'm sure the president will take your questions like he does almost every day, and that we will address the elections the day after Election Day. And I'm just going to leave it there and not get ahead. I'm sure that the president again will make his voice very clear the day after Election Day, and I'll leave it there. I understand the question. I appreciate the question, and I'm happy to answer it every time it's asked. Okay.
Thank you, Karine. Following up on your comment that there's an alarming number of Republicans who are saying they're not going to accept election results, Does that mean President Biden thinks it is a threat to democracy if somebody votes Republican?
No, that's a ridiculous question. No.
Why is that a ridiculous question?
Because American people should have their right to vote for whomever they want. The voting is a sacred right. It is something that the president wants to protect at every turn, and he has done that. He's taken actions to protect the right to vote. And you see Democrats in Congress also doing the work to protect the right to vote. We are talking about MAGA Republican officials who have been very clear about.
Hold up. Are we going with Mega MAGA now? Is that the new shit?
They are pro-police, but then they are also pro-insurrectionists.
We'll see. We got like 5 Trump rallies coming up on the weekend.
Insurrectionists who also say
Mega Mally. Mega MAGA.
that's a
Coming to America near you.
problem that we are seeing, and who I've said have been very clear that they have been very clear about pushing and peddling the big lie, peddling dangerous conspiracy theory. And so that's what we're talking about. But the American people have their right to make a decision on who they want to represent them, and they should be allowed to do so.
Okay, in the context of calling out election deniers, then, is he going to call out Republicans that deny election results and Democrats that deny election results?
It doesn't matter if there's a D or an R after your name.
Huge.
He will call out any rhetoric that is that leads to potentially political violence, or that calls to political violence, for political violence. That is a problem. The president has always condemned political violence. It doesn't matter, again, if you're a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat.
So President Biden thinks democracy can survive even if Democrats are not in charge of Congress.
The president is optimistic. He is an optimistic, you know this, Peter. He is an optimistic person. And he understands there is majority of the Americans out there who do not believe in election and in denying an election, who believe in actually protecting our democracy. There are a majority of Americans who believe in strengthening our democracy, and that's what we see. But the president, as the president of the United States, he believes it is his duty, is his responsibility to call out this rhetoric, and that's what he's going to continue to do. Go ahead.
Thanks, Green. On the election in Brazil, have U.S. officials made any outreach to Bolsonaro to try and encourage him to accept the results of that election and encourage that transition process?
So I don't have any calls to read out to you on any conversation with Bolsonaro, but we are glad to see that President Bolsonaro acknowledged the results of the election and has allowed the transition process to begin. The Brazilian Electoral Authority has made the determination of who won the free and fair election, and that is President-elect Lula. The will of the people of Brazil should be respected, and that's what we believe.
And any comment on the election in Israel and that Netanyahu appears to be headed for victory?
Yeah, don't want to get ahead of that. We are pleased to see such strong voter turnout for this election. It is too early to speculate, as you know, on the exact composition of the next governing coalition until all the votes are counted. I know we've all seen the exit polls. We look forward to continuing to work with the Israeli government on our shared interest and values. So I'll leave it there. Go ahead.
Given the number of Republicans who have said they won't accept the results and just the unpredictability of this election compared to others, is the White House doing any contingency planning for election night or the day after? Just people not accepting results if violence breaks out. How are you guys thinking about that?
So a couple of things.
What is she talking about?
I want to be clear and say this again. Americans should feel free, safe. They should feel safe going to the polls. They should. And so this administration has taken the issue of threats to the safety of voters and election officials seriously since day one. And the federal government has been working alongside state and local election officials and law enforcement to take the necessary steps to keep people safe. And again, there are agencies across the government that is working on that every day.
I just want to clarify if we're going to be hearing something new tonight. It sounded like you were saying that he'll be repeating what he said before. It just needs to say it again. Is that right, or should we expect something different from what he's been saying, what he said on September 1st
So
speech?
the lawyers have been very clear with me that I cannot get into previewing the speech or get into what the president's going to talk about. I'm just giving you a little bit of what he has said in the past and why this moment is very important, but I'm not going to go into details of the speech.
And one other question, you talked just now, the president's been talking about highlighting the differences between Republicans and Democrats. What issues do you see as having the most potential for agreement in the next Congress if there's a divided government?
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. What I can say right now is, as we have been for the past several months, is what's at stake and the choices that the American people are going to have to make. Again, I'm not going to get into any elections or politics from here. But again, the president has been very, very clear. So
Sounds like they're hinting to us we should be preparing for violence. Well, that'll be entertaining.
Very clear about what's at stake and what we have been able to deliver for the American people and what we will continue to do regardless of any outcome. Go ahead, Ben.
Anita Dunn said this morning that after the midterms, the White House's priority for the lame duck session of Congress would be keeping the government funded and providing additional Ukraine and COVID aid. What about protecting same-sex marriage? Where does that fall in the president's priority?
That's as you know, if you know the president's history when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community.
That guy should get scared tattooed across his forehead.
Has been a priority for him and will continue to be. I don't have anything to lay out on congressional priorities at this time, but when it comes to marriage equality, when it comes to protecting the community, this is something that he's been a strong voice for, a strong ally, and has delivered on.
Will you be pushing for that in the lame duck session?
I'm not going to get into what any congressional priorities at this time. I'm just saying that his history, his record speaks for itself.
Okay, Nadia. Thank you. The administration has been leading the efforts at the UN today to expel Iran from the UN Commission on the Status of Women. Can you just talk us through this decision, and do we expect also that you will push for more for expelling Iran from international organizations?
I'm going to let folks get up for a second. I know people have to gather.
You're going to the event, they're not walking.
No, it's clear. I know. Kelly, you're always very sensitive to that because people are watching.
Walking out on you.
And it's
I think all of you people are a little bit too sensitive.
Prostitute. Are they friend or foe?
All right, my friends. So Nadia, on your question, look, as it relates to what we've seen, the actions that we have seen the Iranian government take on the horrible actions that they've taken on protesters, women who are bravely seeking to speak for their basic rights. We have been very clear. The president has spoken against that. He has called out and lifted up the brave women and citizens of Iran for doing that, for being out there and speaking out. And he's called out the Iranian government. And we have, across the past several weeks, laid out just what we have been doing to make sure that we hold Iran into account. In the last week, the United States, the European Union, and Canada have sanctioned more Iranian officials for the ongoing crackdown that we've been seeing, the violent crackdown that we have seen. And I think you saw the reports, more than 200 people have died in Iran because they have been protesting. We have hosted a UN dialogue with the special situation of human rights in Iran, welcomed the joint statement by women foreign ministers on events in Iran, and supported Germany's recalibration of their Iran policy. We welcome civil society's call for the immediate expulsion of the Islamic Republic from the UN Commission on the Status of Women. The U.S. government will take action to ensure Iran is removed. To your question, women and men in Iran must have the right to freedom of expression and assembly. That is something that the president believes. That is something that this administration believes. Women should be able to wear what they want, free from violence or harassment. Iran must end its use of violence against its own citizens. simply for exercising their fundamental freedoms, their basic rights. Until Iran changes its behavior, the United States will continue to impose costs and hold accountable Iranian officials and entities that are responsible for employing violence to suppress protest, civil society, and women's rights.
Another one on Iran, if I may. An Iranian delegation is expected to meet in Austria with the IAEA this week. I'm curious if the administration, if the U.S. is going to have any sort of role in that, and what it says, in your view, with the sort of stalemate that's emerged in the larger nuclear talks.
So I don't have anything to share on that particular IAEA visit. So clearly that's something.
EIEIO.
We welcome, I should say, not recommend, but don't have anything else to share beyond that.
But you don't view it as sort of a movement one way or another on the
I just want to talk to the team before I make any statement on that or take any position. Go ahead.
Thanks. On what you said about the president saying that he's concerned about Republicans who have refused to say that they will accept the election results, does the president think that those refusals will create political violence, will lead to political violence?
Well, he's speaking because he wants to make sure that he's loud and clear, and I want to be very careful because don't want to go into anything that he might say tonight or into his speech. That what we're seeing, these are not normal times, right? This is an inflection point. That it is important as the President of the United States to speak out against what he's seeing, against this rhetoric, against this political violence. Look, it is an important time in our history, and as I've mentioned before, this is one of the reasons why this president decided to run for this very office. Look, I don't want to get into hypotheticals of what may happen, but what the president believes is that what he is seeing and what we are hearing from MAGA Republican officials, extreme Republican officials who say that they are not going to accept this election is a threat to our democracy. And so I'll just leave it there.
Corrine, about tonight, but beyond tonight, the president is looking for this speech tonight to kind of quell some of the reactions and the upset, this political upset that's happening. But there's more to it than that.
She's in full disguise right now.
Because on the Hill they're talking about, Capitol Police can't really secure a lot of the leaders who are in need of help. What's next beyond the speech?
So when it comes to the protection of leaders, to the last part of your question there, I don't want to get into commenting on security-related matters. That is something that we are very sensitive to and want to be very mindful and careful here. So anything that's related to individual safety at the Capitol, that goes to the Capitol Police and even on any questions of the Speaker's security. I know that has been something that folks have been asking. But again, for a variety of reasons, we're just not going to comment on security-related matters or discuss issues related to the Speaker's security or any member security. This is a subject that's best left for the Capitol Police. Look, the President understands that there's a lot of work to do. This is on your first part of the question. This is why you've heard him talk about protecting our democracy, strengthening our democracy, and the work that we need to continue to do several times. I've listed out the many times that he, and I'm sure I've missed one or two, the many times that he's had this very kind of conversation, given these types of remarks. I'm not going to, again, get into what he's going to say. I'm going to let the president speak for himself. But again, this is an inflection point. This is an inflection point in our country's history, and there is a choice that Americans are going to have to make.
So, and just summarizing what you're saying, there is other pieces beyond just the speech tonight to help change the dynamic of this inflection point from going into a negative.
Again, I cannot get into anything specific that he's going to say. I did mention at the top that one of the things that the president implemented very early on, back in June of 2021, as we talk about security and safety, is the National Strategy for Countering Domestic Terrorism, which is something that the president put out and did over a year ago. So those are some actions that he did take.
And lastly, on the Supreme Court, affirmative action, in education and the admissions process. But if there's a rollback, there are tentacles that could go into so many other spaces. How is the White House prepared in case there is? Because we've seen rollbacks.
What's going on with the guy in the back on top of the screen there?
Very clear about
Did he fall asleep? And why is he biting his lip like that? What's going on here?
the decision on Roe and how
I hope they show that again.
constitutional right that was around for almost 50 years was taken away. Freedoms have been taken away from women, just across millions of women across the country. He's been very clear. Voting rights is at stake. Marriage equality is at stake. The president has listed that out and has been very clear. And this kind of goes to what we're talking about today. And what we have been talking about for the past several weeks, several months, which is so much is at stake. So much is at stake for the American people. When you think about our freedoms, when you think about our rights, this is what the president has been trying to say and has been saying, is that's why there's a choice to be made. This is why, the work that he's been doing and congressional Democrats have been so important, because we are fighting for the freedom of Americans. We are fighting for the rights of Americans. We understand not just our role here, but our role globally. I was just asked, but Nadia just asked me about Iran and what the president has said about that, about protesters in Iran, women who are fighting for their rights, civilians who are fighting for their right, and the violent crackdown that we're seeing there. So the president understands his role more globally as well. So we're going to keep talking about this. We're going to make sure that we're doing everything that we can with congressional Democrats to make sure that we're protecting the rights of Americans. But again, there is a choice to be made. Go ahead, Phil.
Thank you. Jen Psaki said from that podium in summer of 2021, quote, "We are flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation." Can you tell us whether the White House is still flagging social media posts for disinformation, and are you submitting those to Facebook through a special portal?
Can you say a little bit more?
Yeah, there was reporting in The Intercept about opportunities for the federal government to identify for social media companies different posts that contained what was perceived as misinformation about the origins of COVID, the vaccine, other things as well, such as Ukraine or the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Yeah, look, I'll say this. The administration, the Biden administration remains fully committed to our mission to protect the security and resilience of our elections and safeguard election infrastructure. That includes combating disinformation. That is something that we are committed to. We work to protect that, protect Americans from disinformation that threatens the homeland, including malicious efforts spread by foreign adversaries. Began before
words are hard.
It was established. In fact, some of that work began before this administration. So, I want to be very clear that cross-agency work continues to this day. Don't want to get ahead of anything else. This is a Department of Homeland Security, so I would refer you to them.
So you are flagging misinformation?
I don't have anything more to add. This is a Department of Homeland Security that I would refer you to.
Does the White House participate in the secret government censorship portal, though? I think that was part of the question. Does the White House submit examples of alleged disinformation and misinformation for Facebook to censor through this portal?
No.
That guy totally looks like a Fed.
I wanted to follow up because you've spoken at length about the threat that those who deny documented truth about our elections pose. And some critics have raised this, so I want to see if you can maybe square the president's current rhetoric when it comes to elections with what he said in January during a press conference when he said of those midterms, quote, "The increase in the prospect of them being illegitimate is in proportion to not being able to get those reforms passed." Obviously, those voting reforms did not pass Congress. So is he confident that the coming midterms are going to be legit? How are those two things congruent?
Yeah, this is something that you're talking about, the Jen reference.
No, the president said in January.
Oh, right. But I think did you ask Jen this question as well?
I may have.
Okay.
Why would that matter?
So just to clear this up, because I think you've asked me this question before, Jen Psaki briefed the following day after this press conference and answered that question that you asked about the president and his statement from the press conference the day before. And she said, I talked to the president about this last night and this morning. He was not intending to cast doubt on the legitimacy of the 2020 election. He was actually attempting to make the opposite point, which is that in 2020, despite COVID, despite many attempts to suppress the vote, a record number of voters, Democrats and Republicans, independents too, turned out in the face of a pandemic. And we saw that with our very own eyes, and you all reported this. And election officials made sure they would vote and have those votes counted. And this is how Jen Psaki responded to your very question.
So even though those voting reforms did not pass Congress, the president is expecting the midterm elections to be legitimate.
Say that again, I'm
So
sorry.
even though his preferred voting reforms did not pass Congress, the president is expecting that the coming midterm elections will be legitimate.
Oh, yes, that is a yes.
Do you have any reaction to the agreement reached between the Ethiopian federal government and the Tigrayan authorities in South Africa?
I have a couple lines for you there. So, as you know, the United States
Couple lines of pre-wrote answers for you.
sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ethiopia. We seek peace and stability in Ethiopia to build upon the long-standing.
Thank you so much, DK Records, for the $2 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Commends the African Union panel on their extraordinary leadership to determine efforts to facilitate talks, as well as the work of the African Union Commission. South Africa, who hosted and international partners, the United Nations, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, the United States remains committed to supporting this African Union-led process as it continues, and to partnering to ensure it brings a lasting peace to Ethiopia, and that is something that we are committed to. Go ahead.
And then what do you...
No, we're going to continue. Go ahead, Courtney.
I want to ask about student loan relief. Excuse me. Have you approved, or is the Education Department in the process of approving any loans or the applications for relief conditionally?
I'm sorry. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah. I want to ask about student loan relief. Are you or is the Education Department in the process of approving any of the applications that you've collected conditionally, or so that you're ready if there is a change in the court pause on distributing relief?
So we're continuing to receive and process applications for debt relief. That is what we have been doing for the past 2 weeks now, I believe. And we're continuing to encourage eligible borrowers to apply for relief at studentaid.gov. That is something that is the outreach that we are continuing to do from here, and clearly from the Department of Education. I should say from the Department of Education. Remember, the Eighth Circuit's order does not reverse the lower court's dismissal of the case or suggest that the case has merit. It merely prevents debt from being discharged until the court makes a decision. But we're going to continue to again, collect the information and process the applications. We're going to continue to encourage people who are eligible to do that, and we will be at the ready when the time comes.
And another question about the IRS. I know that Secretary Yellen just appointed someone to temporarily lead while the president considers who to nominate for commissioner. Will the president be meeting with the acting commissioner? Will he be talking at all with him or Secretary Yellen's team, given that IRS reform is such a big part of your agenda?
I don't have any meetings to preview or anything to lay out. Clearly, that is something that's under Secretary Yellen's purview, and so I would just refer to her if you have any questions specifically to the acting commissioner. Okay.
Thank you, Corinne. I wanted to ask about the president's reaction to the attack on Paul Pelosi. You spent a lot of time in more informal settings with the president on Air Force One, in between public appearances. Can you tell us...
This dude in the background, barely there.
...about the attack on Paul Pelosi?
Not sure if he's on the Molly Ranchers or what.
As you know, the president is a pretty open book, and he speaks from his heart. And
he speaks from his ass. We watch it every day.
What we all hear when he's not in front of you or in front of a camera. I don't think there's not any difference. This was a horrific attack. And as I mentioned, the president spoke to the speaker on Friday. He spoke to this again on Saturday. He's relieved to know that he's expected to recover. As we have said, the president is praying for the speaker and her family and for Paul Pelosi. This is, again, a horrific, what we saw was horrific, and it is political violence, as we're hearing the reports, and it has no place in our political discourse. But I'm not going to get into any more specifics on private conversations that I have with the president.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how he reacted as he heard about jokes that prominent Republicans had made about the attack?
Look, the president spoke to the political violence, specifically to the speaker's husband yesterday. So I will leave it to that. I will refer you to what the president said. Don't have anything more to add. The president is going to speak tonight, and I'm just not going to get into details on what he will say. But of course, this is something that the president condemns. He condemns all types of political violence. There is no place in politics, no place across the country for it. And he's going to continue to condemn that, and I'm going to let you all hear from the president directly himself. I think I'm being called to leave this podium, and hopefully I see you guys in New Mexico and California. Thanks, guys.
Maya, is she leaving the country? Oh, 2:34. Old man Walter's supposed to be on in 6 minutes. Not sure if that's going to happen on time or not. Give me a second here. What's up, Trigger Crazy? I was actually just talking about you yesterday. I don't know if you know, I'm working on a website, and we got verified accounts over there, and I was just telling someone, if you come sign up for the website, Trigger Crazy, I'm going to give you a verified account so everybody can tell that you're official. We might actually hang out and wait for old man Walter. I don't know how long it's going to be, but we can get the pledge. So let's do that. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll wait on old man Walter, see if he's late or not, or how late he's going to be. All right, hooligans, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll pull up this other live real quick. Well, apparently I can't pull it up for another 3 minutes and 19 seconds, so we'll just wait it out. Lorax, wonder if Sleepy Joe is going to condemn the violence that the left is going to do after the midterms when they lose bigly. I don't think so. I think they're setting up shop to try and, push more J6 stuff to say, oh, the violent red team is going to be out in the streets, mad and burning shit down, because no one else ever did that. That was red team only. It's their fault. That's how they do it. Thanks for letting me know, Kamehameha. Trigger Crazy, the website's not ready yet. So I haven't posted any links to it and stuff because the changes that I'm doing on a daily basis, if I had people on the database with memberships and stuff, there's a chance that information could crash or be lost, or payment information or any of that stuff could be lost. So I haven't shared out the website yet. But it will be coming soon. I'm working on it on a daily basis. I was up until 5:30 this morning, I think. I think it was about 5:30 when I went to sleep, working on the website last night. Non-stop. I don't know what I'm going to do when the website's done because I'm so used to putting in like 10 hours every day. I stay up till the sun comes up. Then I sleep 5 hours and I wake up and cover the press briefing. It's all right. It's not bad. What's up, Kirby? Thanks for being here. Tom, too, tell us a story. I'm not like old man Walter. I'm not going to take you back to the kitchen table, talk about that breathing room, how I'm laser focused. It's not hyperbole, like he says it. Nah, not this guy. Diana, thanks for the info. Oh, on the website. Yeah, it should be. I'm hoping to have it ready before Thanksgiving. That's the goal. It's taken quite a bit longer to assemble than I thought it was going to, but good things take time. What's up, Rob? Hey, I appreciate you, Jerry. God bless. True, crazy, no rest for the wicked. Something like that. Something like that. Speak for yourself. I was talking about you yesterday. It's like, man, I haven't seen True Crazy in a while. And then boom, pop up. You know what they say about speaking about the devil. Oh, interesting. The timer went off, but the live for Old Man Walter did not kick over. Maybe they can't find him. Maybe he's wandering around the yard. Well, we'll give it a few minutes. See what happens. He's out in the yard in his underwear swinging a hammer. Happy Free Manette. Lone Wolf, send me an email, because there's most likely a couple questions I could ask that I could use some tips on, or some advice, or an extra brain. Kelly K says he's in the middle of a diaper change. It's gonna be a second. Neff these. Klaus Cat is here somewhere. He's been bothering me the whole time I've been live, sitting here meowing at me, talking that stuff. He's talking shit about Karine. I can't even repeat what he was saying. It's against community guidelines on YouTube. They would ban my channel. I gotta tell young Klaus Daniels he needs to watch his mouth. It's just not right, the things he was saying about Karine. Hey, no worries, Trigger Crazy. I appreciate you being here. Kirby, he's in the middle of an underwear change. Old Man Walter. It's just the unders didn't belong to him. That's why they had to change him. Guardian for the website. All good things come to those who wait. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, we're going to be able to do everything on the website. I don't know what you guys would leave for. I'm trying to put everything on there so when everybody comes to the website, they have no reason to leave. You're going to be able to do everything from the website. Sam, they're getting his Molly Ranchers going. I'm saying. They got it in liquid form. They got him doing shots in the back. Anthony says kitty cussing is an issue here as well. I'm saying these foul-mouthed cats, all their entitlement. You see the size of that Klaus Daniels when I was holding him? It's like a 20-pounder. If the power ever goes out, I'm gonna eat good, don't you worry. Klaus Danielson, be able to eat for like 2 weeks, feed a family of 4. Straight Sith. I'm in Michigan, so I'm East Coast. Ringo, what is Old Man Walter going live for? He is supposed to deliver remarks on... Well, here. I guess it just went live. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is what we're watching. Supposed to deliver remarks on working to strengthen the infrastructure talent pipeline. That's what we're doing. He doesn't know, we don't know, but at least we're together for it. Pamela, I'm always joking about eating the cat, but I swear, I bet they don't taste good. You know, there's a lot of symptoms there letting you know that they probably wouldn't taste good. I don't know. I think if you were hungry, you'd have to be real hungry to eat a cat. I just don't think they would taste good. Jack, meat recession now. Yeah, what was Kareen talking about? Talking about food processing and stuff after all those places, you know, just magically burned down and stuff. Now they're going to ramp up processing. I don't know. I've heard a lot of weird stuff about the meat that gets circulated here in the country. I don't know. Got a lot of people illegally here that no one knows. They're undocumented. And then we need more meat. And then I'm thinking nobody would know if those guys came up missing. I bet serial killers are having a heyday right now. For the first time in a long time, they don't have to hunt down prostitutes anymore because there's all these illegals coming in by the thousands every day. I don't know, when someone's here who's not supposed to be here and no one knows they're here, if they went missing, who would look for them? Well, no one would. The government knows that. I think people on the border probably know that. I'm sure serial killers know that. I bet the dark web and everything's going ham right now. Probably human trafficking is probably super high, higher than we know it is. Yep, there's a reason that border is wide open. Well, thanks for stopping in, Shelly Babes. Sure, Crazy Jeff would burn the flavor out. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. I just burned some food the other day, and I was like, I'm so glad the hooligans aren't here to see this. I don't know how I became such a great cook. Fire, I guess. Independent Many United. Do you know Bill Bailey? I do not. I will have to look him up. Well, man, Walter, you were 6 minutes late. Alaska Man Chef JeffMAC. I mean, I don't know. You guys will see whenever we get this cooking channel off the ground. I've been thinking about that since I've been putting the channel together, or the website together. I'm gonna put all the channels on the website. There's gonna be a little bit of everything there for everyone. Klaus Daniels is gonna be on there. We're gonna have Pokemon stuff on there. We're gonna have relaxing, like pro mental health stuff on there. We're gonna have the news on there. We're gonna have an exclusive merch store, and then hopefully we can get the cooking channel started, and then that'll be lots of fun. Well, so far there's no changes in the schedule. So I guess they're still trying to hunt down old man Walter in the backyard. Serum. Patriotic bikini photo shoots. I mean, maybe, you know, if we can get the house. I'm working on it. I need to get into a house so bad. Get all of this other stuff going, but maybe the website can help get us there. Jennifer, do the dunkle dance. No, you'll know I'm hard up when you see me doing the dunkle dance. Selling feet pics and stuff. That's when you know I'm hard up. Kelly K, let's burn something with JeffMAC. Yeah. I still haven't come up with the title yet, but we'll work it out. Maybe we'll do a poll when it comes to time to putting that channel together. We might also do a gaming channel. I see who through streams playing games and stuff, and I thought that looked kind of cool. And maybe we'll do some co-streaming, playing the game or something for people who like playing video games and all that. I got lots of great ideas. It just takes time. Nah, sir, I'm no freestyles today. Not today. The Lorax, the Walter Android is being charged up before he speaks to the world. Nah, you shouldn't have said that. Now people are going to be saying, well, if he was an iPhone, dur. Let the arguments commence. Have you guys been checking on Twitter? Twitter's like really good right now. I keep telling people who have never had a Twitter account that they should go make a Twitter account right now, because it is great watching people cry so hard over really stupid stuff. I like the people who are like, if they reinstate Trump's account here on Twitter, I'm leaving the country. Just gonna pack up the kids and everything, just move. Like, how could you be so affected by another person having social media? You're just gonna uproot your life, and I'm out. Get on the plane, take me out of here. I can't handle life anymore. This random person in this random place somewhere in the world got social media, and I just need to turn it all off. Just could not. I don't know. I couldn't live like that. Little sissy. Oh, soft skin. Pamela, crispy fixins with JeffMAC. G-Ski. Well done with JeffMAC. I kind of like that one. Well done. Hockey pucked. Happy Freedom Damon. I know. I need to go on a flag walk. I didn't go on a flag walk at all the whole summer. I don't know. I let time slip by. Now that it's cold, I'm like, oh man, I really need to get a flag walk in. I'm going to end up marching in the snow. Guardian the Truth with JeffMAC. Nope, YouTube would strike that. Yeah. I'm waiting to see what YouTube's going to do the closer we get to 2024. Because they only let you listen and watch specific people. So if you have multiple candidates and YouTube only likes one of them, say there's 5 of them, they're not going to show you the other 4. How is that not interfering with things? You would think it would. I mean, obviously it does. But with their community guidelines, what are they going to do? They're going to have to adapt one way or another. I think they lost Old Man Walter. Those people were skedaddling to get out of that press room to go see Old Man Walter. What's taking so long? No, Pamela, I don't even say that. They're just a bunch of little Sallys. It's all right. It's all right. Cher said she's leaving again. Half the people on Twitter say they're leaving over nothing. Mad at Elon. I think it's real crazy that people get on there and they say that, like, Elon Musk has enough money to give everybody $1,000 or whatever they say, and oh, he should end world hunger and this, that, and the other. That's great, but who the hell are you to tell another American what they should do with their money? I mean, you got to be a big piece of shit to tell another person what they should be doing with their money that they went and got, however they got it. It just makes you sound petty, like jealous. You just sound jealous. So I don't know. I couldn't imagine telling another grown person what to do with their money. That's a weird thing to, in my opinion, that is weird. And a lot of people on Twitter are about that life. You know what I'm wondering? When are they going to pull those assault hammers off the shelf? You know, they're out here attacking politicians in the middle of the night, held by people in their underwear. When are we going to ban these assault hammers and all their, you know, tactical attachments? They come in all those threatening, aggressive colors. Get those assault weapons off the shelves. Who's doing anything about that? No one. We need to just scrap the lineup. We need politicians who care. They're going to take these assault hammers off the shelf. Just saying. JeffMAC for governor. Fabergé, they hate capitalism. Yeah, it's true. That is true. I guess I didn't think about it like that. They do hate that people have to earn things. They want everyone to be a part of the commonwealth. They're so ridiculous. For like a whole year, we watched a bunch of 20-year-old idiots all talking about how communism is good and all this stuff, you know, while they were burning buildings down and doing drugs and all that. And they, for some reason, think if one person's wealthy, that everyone's going to be wealthy, and that's how communism works. That's not how it works. Everybody gets the same thing, but all of you eat shit together. That's how communism works. You're not eating steak, you're eating shit. But you know, when you're 20 and your brain doesn't function properly, I mean, I don't know. Where are those people now? I don't see any of those people live streaming now. They must have achieved great things, I'm thinking. What's up, original gamer? Happy freedom. Welcome to the live. Jeremy, I call for no hammer handles over 4 inches in length. I'm saying. The ones that have the little magnet and that holds the nail on the top, the roofing hammers, oh no, I gotta ban those. That's the equivalent of a bump stock. I mean, come on, man. Sheep, ghost hammers are a real problem. I'm saying, all these undocumented hammers out here. I heard people even making their own hammers. It's not good. Gonna have to stop the black market for salt hammers. Karaticus, you'd make a great governor. No, I'm too honest. I'd have a mysterious heart attack in the middle of the night and all that other stuff. Right after the first day, I'd address everybody, and then they'd be like, nope, not this guy. He's a little too honest. You guys are killing me with all this hammer talk. We're gonna have to make t-shirts now. Make hammers great again. Yeah, we're gonna end up making t-shirts after all that nonsense. Larry, a 3D printed assault hammer with a suppressor. All the attachments, it's in tactical black. A year from now, we'll all be saying that we lost our hammers in a boating accident. I'll never forget the first time I heard that. It was, I think it was Trump Jr. was on stage. Actually, I think it was like a MAGA Million March rally or something like that. And he's like, I don't know what happened to my stuff. I lost it in a boating accident. So now anytime I hear that, I just hear like Trump Jr.'s voice in my head. Awakened One. We're waiting on Old Man Walter. He's supposed to be on stage 18 minutes ago talking about his son's pipe collection or something. Well, we might wrap it up. We'll give him a I don't know, another 7 minutes. About 5 after, we'll wrap it up. And if it goes on later, then we'll deal with that. It's from what I've been told and what it kind of sounded like everybody was talking about in the press room. It sounds like about 7 o'clock Eastern time. Old Man Walter's supposed to go live, and he's supposed to talk about election-related things. Things that we all talk about away from sissy platforms. So I will not be able to show that on YouTube, even though I know other mainstream people are going to do it. I'm not big like Fox and stuff. I won't be able to fight off YouTube's nonsense. And this little low-key thing I've been holding on to that I haven't told anyone because I don't want to jinx it. A week from today, if they don't delete the JeffMAC channel, one of those 2 strikes is going to expire. And we won't be a hit on the chopping block anymore. I thought for sure we were going to catch that 3rd strike. Everything needed was there. It was just going to take time. Now, the way YouTube does me is we'll make it 6 days from now and they'll get me with that 3rd one and I'll be gone. And I've been trying not to talk about it. But because this is coming up, I am not going to show Old Man Walter tonight at 7 o'clock because of the topics he's going to be talking about on YouTube. I'm going to show it everywhere else, but I'm not going to show it on YouTube, even though it will most likely be on all the mainstream stuff. Like I said, Fox and all that will most likely show it. I'm not going to risk the channel when I'm so close to jumping over this hurdle and not being a hit on the block anymore. So we are going to cover it at 7 o'clock. It'll be on Twitch, Odyssey, Rumble, Facebook, and the website, which I guess doesn't matter because only like 3 of us have access to the website. Hush your face, Klaus Daniels. You interrupted me, son. So yeah, about 7 o'clock p.m. as far as I know, we will be covering it, but it will not be on YouTube. So join the Hooligan community. Find the Linktree link. It is in the description on every platform that we're live on right now. Go in the Linktree link. It's a list of links as everything, social media, donations, merch, everything on there. Find the Hooligan community tab. I have it all categorized and everything real nice for you guys to be able to find stuff. Find the Hooligan community. Choose either Discord or Gilded. Most hooligans prefer Gilded because their terms of service is a little bit more lenient, not so close to YouTube's terms of service. But pick whatever community you would like. I drop updates, exclusive news. There's tons of hooligans in there. And it's the best way to be alerted for when and where we go live. So definitely join the Hooligan community to stay up to date. Especially when the website comes out, it will be offered to the Hooligan community first. So anybody that's in Discord or Gilded will have access to the website before anyone else. So definitely join the community now to stay up to date. Thanks so much, Genius by Birth, for continuing the membership program for 22 months. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, Johnny, I wish that we had a little bit more respectable administration. These guys are terrible with scheduling and stuff. And I know we cover Trump rallies and sometimes he's late and stuff like that, but these White House schedulings, the way they overlap schedules and push things back, it is a nightmare. Sometimes I will set up a live and I will sit here for 45, 50 minutes waiting just like this. And then all of a sudden the live will end. I'll check the schedule and it got pushed back 3 hours. And so I just wasted 45 minutes of my life sitting here waiting for a live that never happened. It is very frequent, almost a daily basis that happens. So I don't know, if you guys are good at scheduling, you guys need to apply at the White House because they suck over there with how they put that together. They need to change a few employees out, I think. Well, let's see, 3 more minutes. He don't hop on the screen, we're gonna wrap it up. Grip Van Wrinkled. Yeah, we'll be on Rumble. We're always on Rumble. But yeah, we'll be showing Old Man Walter tonight. Facebook, Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey. For sure. Old Man Walter, he must be top of ass right now. This dirtbag barely made it. He had 2 minutes and we were shutting the show off.
Local 134 in Chicago, Illinois.
I don't understand the music like we're in Great Britain. I know the music thing was annoying. I was trying to see if people were talking and stuff. Can't play the music, you know, copyright and all that. You know the deal. Come on, hooligans.
Come on, man.
Look, they had to go find him. He don't even know where he's at. Look at his face. Oh, sleepy, creepy. Who's that girl? Look at old man Walter. Just skeleton, look like a mummy. Zombie face. He's the first one. That's patient 0.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the White House and the Talent Pipeline Challenge. It's such an honor to be here with you today. My name is Alyssa Cruz, and I'm a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 134 in Chicago, Illinois.
She doesn't seem very thrilled to be there.
I'm a 4th-year apprentice, and I'm proud to represent the next generation of skilled tradeswomen and men who will power
This guy looks just scary.
Although my father, Arturo Cruz, and my 5 uncles are all Local 134 members, I'm the first female Cruz to join IBEW.
Rick, the hammer in chief.
As the youngest of 3 and the only girl, I was not expected to follow in my father's footsteps. I'd gone to college on a scholarship and worked for a few years before I realized I wanted what my dad had. The IBEW income that put me and my brothers through college, a union pension, health care, and the satisfaction that comes from seeing an empty lot and then working to build something from the ground up. My father, a foreman, was literally by my side for my first year as an apprentice, guiding me and teaching me. Today, if I ever get stuck and I have a question, he always has the answer. But the IBEW of 2022 looks different from the IBEW of his apprenticeship. And he's not even that old. Today, half of my apprenticeship class are minority or female. I've been trained to install solar panels, offshore wind turbines, and those EV chargers you saw earlier, the new energy technologies that will help meet the urgent climate goals that President Biden was elected to accomplish. Nationwide, the IBEW has more than 12,000 trained electricians powering this electric vehicle network, and we are adding more every day. In 2020, Joe Biden promised to rebuild the middle class and to honor the dignity of all workers. He promised union workers and their communities he'd restore infrastructure from roads and bridges to clean water and broadband. He promised to bring back American manufacturing so we could get back to building and making things in this country. Now, just 23 months later, here we are in the White House. Infrastructure, manufacturing, union jobs, promises made and promises kept.
Old man Walter looked like he's about to cry. He don't know what's going on. He can't remember if he's already spoke or not.
Because of all of these projects come with some of the strongest worker protections we've ever seen. Because President Biden knows that we don't just need more jobs, this country needs more middle-class union jobs.
Her enunciation is weird. I wonder if she's medicated or something. Like the way she's emphasizing words is weird.
To be part of the army of skilled union workers who look like me, that is rebuilding the United States of the future, reaching out to put the best of us to work for the best of our country. And we are more than ready to meet those goals. This Talent Pipeline Challenge is only the beginning for me, for my union, for our country. There's literally nothing we can't do. Mr. President, we're ready to work.
Yeah, nobody knew if you were supposed to clap or not, because the way you just said that, you're not good at public speaking. Sorry.
On behalf of my family and my union, I am honored to introduce the greatest champion of American workers we've ever had in the White House, the 46th President of the United States, President Joe Biden.
I think you can do anything.
Stop clapping immediately.
That was impressive. And before I begin, I want to remind some folks here that, when I started to run for the presidency this time,
400 years ago.
the suggestion was Biden was too green. He'd never get unions to stick with him. One of the first guys I called was Lonnie. And before I announced the detail of all my program, we sat down for hours, more than one day. And Lonnie was convinced, not by me, but convinced by circumstance, that the future of labor was in the future, was about what we have to do to deal with climate, with advanced manufacturing, that we have to do to deal with things like those little computer chips that in fact mobilize everything we do, from your washing machine to your automobile to our weapon systems. It's amazing. And Lonnie jumped on. And a lot of you had already come along, a lot of the unions had come along, but everybody came along. Because finally we've reached the point, with the help of the IBW and the carpenters, so many others, that, the future is about the future. And one of the reasons I want to make it clear that I talk about unions all the time.
The future is about the future. That's the dumbest shit that we have covered yet.
She's already gone to college. 4 years. People think that you just walk in and say, hey, I want to be an electrician. And you get a job, you get hired, and you're at work in a couple of days. We have the best trained workers in the world. And that's not hyperbole.
That one got me. The future's the future. Go back to bed, old man Walter. You don't know shit.
And I mean this, and I think American businesses are coming to understand this, and American industry, is that, it costs more to hire a union worker than a non-union worker, but guess what? It costs you less over time because you have the best product from what you're paying for.
Someone said yesterday you got to take a shot when he says, guess what?
Presidents that are here for stepping up. It wasn't easy to step up as boldly as you. I really mean it. I've always had support of the IBW, but never so aggressively on dealing with the things we're talking about. There are 3 major pieces of legislation that already created 700,000 manufacturing jobs and are going to create literally several million more. And that is the infrastructure bill, which is facts do everything from highways and bridges to broadband to clean water, lead pipe, across the board. And then we came along with
it's not a joke.
That everybody wondered what it was. We talked about the Chips and Science Act. Well, guess what? We have American and
take a shot.
Investing literally several hundreds of billions of dollars.
Hi, Jeb, we said it at the same time. It's not a joke.
Thing that your kids, when they're your age, are buying, it's going to require a computer chip. We invented them.
When you're there, you're there. The future's the future.
Who advanced them? The United States of America.
Come on, man.
Because we didn't invest. We didn't invest in America. We came along, and with the help of all of you in this room, we got strong support, and we invested. And all the way from, I was just up at IBM, up in upstate New York, and then I went over to Syracuse, New York. We're talking just those 2 outfits are.
You see the disgust in his face, like he was pissed off at those letters.
Lonnie's heard me say this. I am optimistic. I am truly optimistic because of your generation. Speaking of labor, it's always been great to work with you all. And last year we signed the historic infrastructure law, a once-in-a-generation investment in roads, bridges, railroads, airports, high-speed internet, clean air, clean water, clean energy future. I signed that so that we could be positioned to win the competition of the second quarter of the 21st century. To do that, we had to make sure the law would rebuild all of America, lift us all up, workers and in the process of this, with products that are made in America. And guess what? We didn't stop there. As I said, we passed the Chips.
Guess what?
Result, companies are investing hundreds of billions of dollars, tens of thousands of jobs. And by the way, you know what these jobs are going to be? And for example, the ones down in for Intel, when they get these factories built or up, I'm going to leave somebody out. So.
What?
But you know, non-college, without a college degree, $120,000 a year. $120,000 a year.
You sound like a Pomeranian chewing on a dog toy. He was like,
$360 billion in clean energy.
He'll know where he's at.
More to come, I believe. We put Americans to work making solar panels, wind turbines, electric cars. By the way, I was part of Ohio, looking at the facilities where they're training people on wind turbines. You know, we have the blades of wind turbines now that are 104 yards long, longer than a football field. No, not a joke. Not a joke. Wind energy, solar energy is cheaper than oil and gas and coal. Cheaper. Look, we've already created, as I said, 700,000 new manufacturing jobs. That's what today's about. Back in June, we launched a nationwide talent pipeline challenge. And I tell you, it was designed...
GC, I can't wait for tonight now. Yeah.
Underrepresented in infrastructure jobs.
Hitler Biden, he'll be on the stage tonight.
3 sectors that we're going to booming because what we're going to do because of the infrastructure law.
Did you just say boobies?
Construction, electrification of all those new electric vehicles and batteries, improvements to the electric grid. Infrastructure laws are going to provide $800 billion in workforce development. Then we went out and asked employers and unions to get in the deal. Educational institutions, state and local, tribal and territorial governments, and philanthropic organizations to join us to make tangible commitments to build the 21st century workforce. Commitments to prepare women, people of color, underserved populations.
What's a woman?
Good paying, high quality jobs in those 3 sectors. Today, I'm proud to announce that more than 350 organizations across the country, nearly 50 states and territories have responded to my call and committed to the challenge. Companies, many of you are here, are forging partnerships with unions, community colleges, local nonprofits to create apprenticeships that train workers to develop the necessary skills. It's the first time we have high-paying jobs and not enough people to do them. Nice thing, isn't it? It's a nice problem to have. We're solving it quickly. Employers are providing support services like help with childcare and transportation, so workers with kids and elderly parents at home don't have to choose between...
They need to slow down his teleprompter. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
...taking a better paying job. Colleges are creating new infrastructure academies and partnering with companies to expand apprentice and pre-apprentice programs to match the trainees with mentors to provide on-the-job experience. You know, a lot of community college, particularly, my wife says community college is the best kept secret in America. I wonder why she says that. She's still teaching. But my point is that, you know, what happened was, what do you need in the community? Go to the community college, tell them, they'll set up a training program with you. It's a little more complicated, but that's the essence of it. And philanthropies are now providing more than $70 million new commitments so far to recruit talent in underrepresented communities. I made a commitment, we're not going to leave anybody behind, and I really mean it. Many of the organizations that are here with us today, Communication Workers of America, are partnering with AT&T and Corning to create training programs for broadband technicians. United Airlines and the Teamsters announced a new apprenticeship for airline mechanics. The Center for Energy Workforce Development and Urban League are working with the IBW right now to train thousands of workers to build and maintain charging infrastructure in electric vehicles all across the country. And by the way, in your home, you know, the batteries that we have now, and they're getting more and more sophisticated. You know, a lightning storm takes out all the electricity in the house. Guess what? You can plug your car into the house and make it light up. You think I'm joking? It's a little simplistic, but literally you can. Literally you can. Oh, this summer, it really is kind of exciting. I get a little...
He looks just like a ghoul.
Jill, my wife, joined the labor.
You don't have to say that. We know who the hell Jill is.
Substation in Boston, where Bunker Hill Community College students had paid internships at a public utility company to prepare them for union jobs that support American electric grid infrastructure. That's happening now. You know, we just did a walkthrough of several union-led demonstrations in the dining room. We had a bricklayer. I didn't want the cement to get in the salads, but, you know, it may happen. He was good, though. Didn't drop any. Anyway, all kidding aside, the trainings that these organizations provide are truly state-of-the-art. I saw workers are trained both in person and virtually through virtual reality tools to create brick and mortar structures, walls, dams, buildings, weld materials for roads, bridges, airports, and to wire electrical boxes for electric vehicle charging stations. It matters, but also provides really good paying jobs where America will lead the world again in manufacturing. I don't know where it's written that said we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world again. Look, for most of the 20th century, America led the world because we invested in ourselves. But somewhere along the way, not a joke, somewhere along the way we stopped investing.
It's not a joke.
Jobs are going overseas. Now we're sending products overseas, not jobs. True. Because our adversaries have been closing the gap. But with this talent pipeline challenge, these partnerships, we're regaining the momentum and taking back our competitive edge. And the United States is going to win. In addition to the bipartisan infrastructure, the Inflation Reduction Act is the biggest investment ever in climate, ever in the history of the world in climate. Creating jobs of the future.
The future is the future.
Small businesses lead the transition to a clean energy economy. Something we owe our children and grandchildren beyond measure. The CHIPS and Science Act is supercharged efforts to make semiconductors and small computer chips that power our everyday lives and every aspect of life. It's going to grow and grow and grow.
Thank you so much, David, for continuing the membership program. You're officially a hooligan. Thank you.
Everybody along. You know, it's part of the economic vision I ran on. And I've been carrying it out as soon as I came to office with the help of people in this room. Rebuilding our economy from the bottom up and the middle out. I'm so sick and tired of trickle-down economics. I don't remember my dad ever feeling that trickle on his head. But seriously.
What?
And by the way, businesses are coming along.
I think those women just covered their face after he said that. They were thinking about last night. They had to cut the camera and everything. Those women knew what he was talking about.
And the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very, very well. No one gets hurt. No one gets hurt. An economy that creates good paying jobs, union jobs, high quality jobs that don't require college degrees. The economy that works for everybody. Through bold actions like this one, we're taking that vision to a reality. This is what it looks like when America comes together to get something done. So let me close with this, because I don't want to get started, because I'm really excited about all this.
That means he shit his pants.
Through a tough 4 or 5 years, and folks are still hurting. Granted that we inherit a 6.5% unemployment rate, it's down to 3.5%, but guess what? Inflation is still hurting people. But we're making real progress. We're reasserting ourselves as a nation. That's why I'm going to look out at everyone here and across the country. I've been more optimistic about the future than I ever have been. Ever in my career, I've been more optimistic than today. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America. There's not, I mean it sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, there's nothing we cannot do.
How are you going to say all that whispering? I mean it sincerely. I'm sincerely whispering to you.
To get more done. And I look in this room, there's business, labor, apprentices, a lot of good folks, all understanding that we can outcompete the rest of the world like we always did in the past. There's nothing beyond our capacity. Nothing. So God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
I thought they were going to play the Imperial March for a second there. You know, the Darth Vader music. That's what they should have did. They should have just played some Hitler stuff, but, you know, maybe not. Well, hooligans, that's that. Read through the chat really quick. We've already done the pledge, so hopefully all of you were here. So we did it together. Let me see. I don't think there's anything else for the White House today. Well, other than whatever's happening later. Hyena Harris is supposed to be live later, but we're not covering that nonsense. I can't stand that woman. And she really doesn't matter that much, in my opinion. But we will be covering Old Man Walter later, about 7 o'clock Eastern time, from what I've been told. It will not be on YouTube. So if you are somebody that is adamant about watching on YouTube, we are not covering it on YouTube. You will have to join a free speech platform. I suggest joining Odyssey because Odyssey is the best. From what I understand, it's a pain in the ass to sign up. I signed up like a year ago, so things are different now compared to how they were. But it is worth jumping through the hoops to get on Odyssey. They're the true free speech platform. They have everything. They have everything. You can post GIFs and memes and stuff in the chat. You earn currency, cryptocurrency, just by viewing and supporting channels, by, you know, hitting the like button, commenting, stuff like that. You can earn currency. It's the only platform that I've heard of where you can actually get paid to be a viewer. So I'm saying you should really join Odyssey. We will be covering that later. Also, if you're not a part of the Hooligan community, please join the Hooligan community. It is free. There is a membership program if you would like to support the work that I do, but it is free to join the Hooligan community. You can either join Discord or Gilded. There's tons of hooligans in there for you to hang out with and converse and talk about your day or talk about whatever you want. Is the best way to be notified for when and where we go live. We also have a news board to keep you constantly up to date with what's going on around the world, so definitely join the community. Salty Ginger, what's tonight's thing for? Okay, so because of community guidelines, I have to say this a certain way. But Old Man Walter is supposed to go live tonight to talk about election-related things. And so, I don't know, I don't want to speculate. I've had a lot of people send me random messages of what they think it's supposed to be about. But because of the topic, I can't show it on YouTube because their community guidelines are so weird and sensitive and real soft skin and they're frail like wet tissue paper. So we're going to show it everywhere else. But I think it is going to be worth watching. I think, in my opinion, I think that he's going to push some more blame on the red team and to Trump. And I think they're going to maybe make some accusations and kind of admit some truth, but act like the other team's gonna do that, if that makes sense. Hopefully you guys are picking up what I'm laying down here. I am limited on what I can say, but either way, it will be worth it. So stay connected to me. I will post the links when it is time to go live. Maybe get a beverage, maybe some snacks or something. It will be later in this evening. Make sure you're comfortable. Go ahead and get your MAGA hat and all that stuff. There will be a show. Either way, big shout out to everyone that made donations, join the membership program, or purchase any merch. I appreciate all of you, and I would not be able to do this without you. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.